When I heard talk of miracles, I dismissed them. But then I saw the birds with my own eyes, and I had to come.
There wasn't anything for you here.
No. This all belongs to me. This land, this forest, that stronghold of yours. Did you really think you could protect yourself from me in that?
It's not protection from you.
Then what is it?
An ark. To hold the innocent when the Creator sends his deluge to wipe out the wicked from this world.
Return to your cities of Cain. No, we have all been judged.
I have men at my back, and you stand alone and defy me? I'm not alone.
Well, we all know the story of Noah. Noah is a simple man who is told by God that he is going to essentially annihilate the world. He's going to flood it, and that Noah's job is to build an ark, and so he can survive, and that all the animals that God created can survive as well. And so what we have here is we have a film that takes that story and expands on it. And what we have here is it starts at the beginning. There's Adam and Eve. They have 3 kids, Cain, Abel, and Seth. Cain kills Abel, so then all that's left is Cain and Seth. Cain flees and forms his own society. And then there's Seth, who forms his own society. Cain's society spreads rapidly. It's an industrialized type world, but it's full of wickedness. It's full of idolatry. It's full of murder. It's essentially full of evil. Why Seth's society is full of humble, creator-fearing human beings who care about the planet and care about their fellow man. And eventually, over time, all that's left of Seth's descendants is Noah and his family, while Cain's society spans the entire world. And God tells Noah through a dream that he is going to annihilate the earth. And then over time, Noah figures out that his annihilation will not be fire, it will be water. God's going to flood the world, and he must build an ark for him and his family to survive, along with all of the animals that God has created, because they still are in the image that God created them, why man has essentially changed himself and shunned God. And so the story is about Russell Crowe playing Noah, building this ark while simultaneously dealing with the outside world, Cain's world, who believes that the ark is rightfully theirs and that they're the ones that should survive God's wrath, not Noah and his family. And so you have this conflict between Russell Crowe as Noah and Ray Winstone as Cain's nemesis, as the king of essentially Cain's kingdom.
How much of this movie takes place before the flood actually comes and they get on the ark?
It's about a 2 hour and 20-minute film. So what we have here is we have about, I want to say, an hour and a half before the flood hits.
Okay.
And I will say the hour and a half before the flood hits, an extremely compelling movie. Very well done. The whole film on its own, as far as scale and scope, I found to be quite impressive. The stuff leading up to and including when the flood starts, until the ark breaks away and starts floating away and you see man drowning. Very compelling, very well done. I will say, after the flood is taking place and it's Noah and his family trying to survive on the ark all the way to the end of the film does slow down quite a bit. And one of the reasons it does slow down is they stop focusing on Noah. Russell Crowe, a very, very good performance. I think he won't get awards consideration for it, but I think we shouldn't forget this performance when that time comes. Unfortunately, the second half of the film focuses more on his 3 sons and kind of how are they going to survive in this new world without man, and what does their future have for them, and what will their future bring them. And when you're dealing with that, unfortunately, not as compelling as the Noah stuff.
And does it have any, after they find land, does it have any?
It does. There's about a good 20 minutes after they find land and
reestablishing,
and kind of that reestablishing of society. And again, that's more focus. That's when we start getting back to Noah, and that's when the film kind of wraps up very nicely, because we're going back to the character who we started the movie with, the character we're interested in. I mean, I was very impressed with, as I said, the scale, the scope. I thought all the performances were very well done. The dialogue is very crisp. The visuals are unbelievably impressive. This will get awards consideration for visual effects. I also think you could see cinematography and director. later down the line, as well as editing. The editing is very impressive. It's very rarely you watch a film and it's over and you go, wow, that was a really well-edited film. It's usually not something you think of, but when you see this film, there are specific sequences where you are impressed by the editing prowess being shown. Again, the issue is that last hour when the story focuses from Noah to his family. And why Noah's family is important to the story, they're central to the story, I wanted to stay with Noah because in that last hour, we see his character change. He's a man who built this ark because him and his family were going to survive, and they are going to repopulate the earth. And then after the flood happens, he comes to the conclusion that, oh, God doesn't want my family to survive. We're just going to survive this flood, and then humanity will die out after we find land. And so he's kind of threatening to kill anyone who goes against that and is willing to reproduce and repopulate the planet. We see him almost become a villain in the last hour of the film and go through this change of heart in the last 20 minutes. I wish we had stuck with that instead of his sons and their own personal wants and needs in the world. And I just wasn't as interested in that as I was with the Noah stuff.
Well, I think I'm hearing you say give this a go see.
Yes, I am saying go see. Wonderful performances, but again, the visuals are the thing that left me the most impressed. Just the visual effects and the scale of something like this. You're not going to see too many other films that have a scale like this year.